Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast. We've made it to April, the second quarter of 2020. Man, it was only a few months ago that all those tech futurists were gazing into their crystal balls and telling us what life in 2020 would be like. And we all had big plans, goals, ambitions, holidays, ticking things off our bucket list. And then out of nowhere, most of us are just sat in our homes now, climbing the walls. Life is so unpredictable, isn't it? But I do think this entire experience will change us all forever. But I also suspect it could be a catalyst for innovation, where we all start thinking, acting, and working differently. And for businesses, I think business continuity is now going to be a primary focus as everybody starts thinking about solution mode. Forget that 5-year plan, that's out the window now. But I think it's all about in-depth analysis and allowing a business to clearly understand their organisation in real time, right now. And as leaders begin questioning those frustrating and archaic tools and processes that used to be used to manage their organisation, that's when things could get quite exciting. And that's where I see things heading. And that's why I invited Ian White from ChartHop onto the podcast today. And if you don't know, ChartHop is the first of its kind because it empowers customers to visualise, plan and analyse their organisation within minutes. So essentially, their customers can structure and analyse people data by multiple factors, including salary, stock grants, number of direct reports, gender, and so much more. And that in-depth analysis allows leaders to do more, to more clearly understand their organisation in real time and break through those information silos and unearth hidden biases. So ultimately, leaders can take action and affect change. But I'll get off my soapbox now and bring him into the conversation. So buckle up and hold on tight, and I'll beam your ears all the way to the US so we can get in onto the podcast right now. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
I'm Ian, and before ChartHop, I founded a personalized email platform called SailThrough. And before that, I was the first head of engineering at Business Insider. I've been in the New York tech ecosystem for many years. And at SailThrough, we grew from 2 people to 200 and went from 100K in revenue to 20 million, all in roughly 3 years. So by the time we reached 50 people or so, our early processes started to just totally break down. I learned the value of organizational structure the hard way. Wow. To run and scale, I believe organizations need to view and understand their most valuable resource, which is their people. So I spent 2 years building the platform that I wish I'd had, which is ChartHop. ChartHop is the world's first organizational management platform. It's built to help companies run and scale better.
And before you came on today, I did a little bit of research and I quickly learned that ChartHop is, like you say, it's the first of its kind to empower customers visualize, plan, and analyze their organizations within minutes. But for people just tuning in today, hearing about ChartHop for the first time, can you just tell me a little bit more about it and the kind of problems that it solves for your customers?
Yeah, that's right. ChartHop automatically builds fluid, data-driven views of an entire company that boost efficiency and transparency across teams. And so the way we do that is we support dozens of integrations that power real-time updated org charts. So there's no more dragging boxes around on a PowerPoint slide to build org charts. We do that automatically out of the box. Custom reporting at a highly detailed level. There's no more needing to pull data out of various different systems and do a bunch of VLOOKUPs and pivot tables with all your disparate HR data. We bring it together in one place, in one analytics platform, and headcount planning tools. We can take all of that information to help you, whether you're an executive, a manager, a leader, figure out your scenarios for the future and plan ahead, something that really doesn't exist today. People do it with spreadsheets today.
And that's one of the things, isn't it? Because I think business leaders and decision makers have very often relied on those spreadsheets, which they can always bend to for whatever narrative they actually want, of course. But now everything is about data-driven decisions. So can you tell me a little bit more about how what you're offering here actually provides in-depth analysis that can just help them clearly understand their organization in real time to make those data-driven decisions?
Everything's becoming more real time. I mean, let's just, we can talk about something that many business leaders are unfortunately going through right now.
Yeah.
Is right now we're in the middle of the effects of COVID-19, and that's unraveling across different industries, unfolding in all kinds of different ways. And leaders everywhere are trying to understand, how does this affect their revenue and cost structure? The 2020 plans that many of them established at the beginning, they were quickly upended. And now we need to quickly figure out, how many employees do we have? How many open roles do we have? You'd be surprised how many people don't know at any given moment the answer to these questions because the data is so inaccessible. And then we get to, okay, so how many should we still hire if we only grow revenue by 20%? Maybe the plan was to grow revenue year over year 100%. What if it only looks like 20% over the next couple quarters? What if revenue shrinks? What does that do to the impact of the hiring plan that we set and aligned on? And how many of my current employees are essential or not for the plan going forward? If we have to make a very hard decision to let people go, how do we decide? How do we make those decisions and be able to visualize that within the context of this person reports to that person, this person is part of this team? Seeing the impact of the changes that you're proposing and visualizing them versus on a spreadsheet makes a world of difference.
And I'm glad you mentioned the pandemic there a few moments ago, because it does feel at the moment that entire businesses are being forced to embrace remote working, and it almost feels like something is changing. So I've got to ask, do you think that more than ever we're beginning to question those frustrating, archaic tools and processes that people use to manage their organization, because we're now just naturally being forced to experiment and try new things? That's only going to continue, isn't it?
That's right. I think what's happening now is only accelerating this existing trend, particularly for companies that don't typically support a distributed workforce. It's more and more apparent that having a place where employees can understand the company structure, understand the relationships, how work is getting done, how can the company continue to grow, it's essential for both employee productivity, but also, frankly, for people to feel that they belong, to have a sense of true belonging in the organization requires transparency. And, for example, right, just again, this last week or two is top of mind. As some of our largest metro areas get hit the hardest, a lot of people are working from another place that is not their home. I'm going to be working from South Carolina instead of New York City for the next several weeks. So we released a new feature last week that allows employees to add this temporary address to their ChartHop map. And so even something as small as seeing your coworkers on the map and noticing that someone who is usually in New York is now close to you in Boston now helps build that relationship and that sense that we're not all just a bunch of people in our individual Zoom windows, but we all have a sense of belonging to the larger organization.
So how does ChartHop work then? Can you share maybe a use case or just help everyone listening imagine how it could work in their world?
So we already talked about one of the main use cases that's especially relevant right now, companies planning and being able to quickly adapt or react to changing market circumstances. It turns out that, surprise, right, the getting in the habit of doing planning continuously as business changes, it's a huge competitive advantage all the time, not just when there's this extreme crisis unfolding before us. So taking the overhead out of the planning process, making that in the approval processes that exist, it helps organizations be more nimble and more intentional in their growth. And so beyond planning, that's one huge use case, but there are two other additional primary use cases that have been huge growing trends in the industry. The increased need for transparency and the focus on building a more diverse workforce. So on the transparency side, we have companies like Envision, for example, where every day hundreds of employees log into ChartHop, from individual contributors to the CEO, to understand who is who and what they do. Who's that person I just got an email from? What team is this person on? And now every employee understands the many ways that work gets done in the organization without needing to be in the same office. Now, Envision is one of the largest fully distributed organizations. We've got almost 1,000 employees across 20 countries. But as we continue to see the rise in distributed teams and remote work, perhaps it's even being accelerated by what's happening right now, employees having access to this information becomes increasingly important. And so third use case, diversity. When it comes to diversity, organizations want to do the work. They're excited to do the work required to increase and sustain diversity in their workforces. People want to do the right thing, but often just getting the data to understand where they're at today is a battle. We know that what gets measured gets managed. Visibility begets action. So even something as small as being able to view your org chart colored by gender and realizing that most of the boxes at the top are blue can spark real action in a way that seeing this data on some spreadsheet will not really surface. So we work with our customers to build out dashboards that bring the data to your fingertips. Anything from comp breakdown by gender, including not just cash compensation, but equity compensation, to promotion rate, to new hires, by teams, to performance review scores. Because once you can access this data, once it becomes available to you in real time, you can spot biases and act on it. And this is something that we're really excited and passionate about here.
So who are your clients? Who do you help revamp their organizational management strategies? And I appreciate you probably can't mention any big names, but I'm just curious if it's across multiple industries.
All types of organizations. Usually they're 100 employees or more to really gain the benefit. We work with public companies like MongoDB, fully distributed teams like Envision, many growing organizations and startups like Masterclass, Better Cloud, and more.
And every employee and employer, of course, are facing uncertainty at the moment. So what are your biggest challenges right now, and how do you plan to overcome them? Because I think it's so valuable for everybody to hear everybody's challenges and how they're all overcoming them together.
Things have really been changing very quickly for a lot of organizations over the last month or so. And there's so much uncertainty with so much going on. Thankfully, we're in a really good position. We've got some incredible investors, and because we've recently raised, we're in a very good cash position. So our main goal right now is to continue supporting our HR leaders as customers. They're all dealing with very different challenges, and I think if we can be a great partner to them and really help them through this challenging time and help them support their teams, that's the mission that we want to be on right now.
Fantastic. And what excites you about the role that technology is going to continue to play at ChartHop once all this pandemic and everything's calmed down and we start to come back to a bit of normality? What excites you about that?
Well, we're a tech company. You know, what we build and what we sell is great software. So we're really excited to be at the forefront of an industry that is transforming itself right now, where HR leaders are demanding tools that give them the insight and analytics to be more strategic. There's so much more being asked of the HR function than ever was before. And we're providing something that can solve a lot of the manual workflows and help them reach a whole new level of strategic effectiveness and organizational impact. And so we're just excited to be pioneering a new category of software that empowers leaders to understand their organizations, past, current, and gives them the context that they need to plan for the future.
And what's your primary focus at ChartHop right now and for the upcoming months? Is there anything you can share about that with us today?
Even in this economy, we are actively hiring for great engineers and product designers. We have an unbelievable product roadmap ahead of us, and we've already assembled an incredible early team that I'm very proud of, and I want to add more great people to this outstanding team to help us fulfill our mission.
And for anyone that would just like to find out a little bit more information on the kind of work that you're doing, what's the best way of finding you online and reaching out to your team? Can you just point them in the direction of that?
Of course, just go to charthop.com, and you can also reach us anytime at hello@charthop.com. Reach out to us, email, Twitter, LinkedIn. We're right here for you. So we'd love to connect with anyone in the industry.
Well, I think at the moment, everybody's starting to rethink the old way of doing things. And now more than ever, in-depth analysis could allow businesses to clearly understand their organization in real time. And I think that is so attractive. So I've got a feeling in my waters, as they say over here, that ChartHop is going to be in for a big year. But I'd love to stay in touch with you and get you back on later in the year, see how things are progressing. But more than anything, just a big thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Neil.
In-depth analysis allows leaders to clearly understand their organization in real time and break through all those information silos, and in the process unearth hidden biases so leaders can take action and affect change. And that is powerful stuff, and something that I think every business leader must be thinking about now. And on the subject of business continuity and planning for the future, I'd love to know how you and your business are attempting to do that. Because I think everybody's trying to make plans now so we can hit the ground running and come straight out of the traps as things slowly start to get back to normal. But we have a long way to go yet. So I'd love to hear your plans, thoughts, experiences, beliefs, challenges, whatever it is. Just email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, tweet me at Neil C. Hughes, and my website is techblogwriter.co.uk. So I'll return tomorrow with another guest, and hopefully you'll join me too. So a big thank you for listening, and until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.